When I woke up, there was blood on my pillow and laughter echoing down the hallway. My face throbbed, sharp, hot pain under my eye, my cheek swollen like something inside had cracked. I stumbled toward the bathroom mirror. The reflection made my stomach twist. Purple blooming under my skin. A small cut near my lip. And from the kitchen, glasses clinking. Mom's voice. Light. Playful. Finally, she'll match her worth. Dad laughed back. Now she won't ruin your sister's big day. That's how I learned what family really meant. My name is Rachel Monroe. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever been treated like a stranger in your own home? The mirror kept showing me a face I didn't recognize. I pressed a towel against the swelling and heard the sound of champagne pouring. My parents were celebrating. My pain was their toast. For years, I'd been the quiet one. The daughter who paid her own rent at 19, who never asked for help, who sent birthday gifts even when they forgot mine. But my sister, Melanie, the golden child, was getting married in a week. Everything had to be perfect. Everything had to shine. Except me. I'd been asked to stand in the corner, smile for the photos, and pretend to belong. But now, with the bruise spreading like a shadow across my skin, I understood. They didn't want me to look bad by accident. They made it happen. I touched the bruise again, and beneath the pain, something else stirred. Cold. Slow. Steady. They clinked their glasses again. I heard the sound through the walls. And I smiled, not because it didn't hurt, but because I finally knew what I'd become. This time, I wouldn't be quiet. This time, I'd be deliberate. They gave me a wound to hide. I'd give them a story they'd never forget. I turned on the faucet, watched the blood swirl down the drain, and whispered. Cheers to you, Mom and Dad. Because when their glasses clinked, my revenge began. The bruise deepened by morning, blooming like spilled ink across my cheek. I didn't cover it. I wanted them to see it, wanted the guilt to crawl under their skin. But when I walked into the kitchen, Mom didn't flinch. She looked proud. You should sleep on your back, she said, sipping her coffee. You bruise easy. Dad chuckled, scrolling his phone. Melanie called. She wants to know if you'll dye your hair darker, so you don't clash with the bridesmaids. Their cruelty was casual. Effortless. Like breathing. I nodded once. Sure. Because that's what they expected, silence. Melanie had always been the sun, and I was her shadow. Blonde, perfect, engaged to a man whose smile looked like it came with a warning label. I'd watched her get everything I'd been denied, attention, affection, admiration. But love bought with performance isn't love. It's theater. I drove to work like nothing had happened. But the reflection in my car window whispered otherwise. I looked like proof of what they'd done, and proof can be powerful. At lunch, my coworker Lena touched my arm gently. Oh my God, Rach, what happened? I smiled. An accident. But maybe it's time to stop keeping accidents secret. That night, I opened my laptop. Created a folder named Wedding. And inside it, I began collecting everything: photos, receipts, texts, voice memos. Because revenge isn't rage. It's patience, wrapped in quiet smiles. Mom texted, "Don't be dramatic. It's just a bruise. You'll ruin the pictures if you keep talking." I stared at her message, then screenshotted it. Saved. When you've spent your life as the family scapegoat, you learn to document your own truth. By the time Melanie's wedding day arrived, I wasn't the quiet daughter anymore. I was the narrator. And they didn't even know it. The venue was dripping with fairy lights and fake laughter. Melanie glowed, her white dress catching every reflection in the room. Mom fussed with her veil. Dad handed out smiles like he owned the place. I stood near the back, uninvited to the front row, but visible enough to be noticed. My cheek, still marked faintly with healing purple, didn't need concealer. I wanted the cameras to catch it. When the photographer approached, Mom hissed, "Stand behind the flower girl." I smiled sweetly. Sure thing. Flash. Click. Proof. Halfway through the reception, Dad raised his glass. "To family," he said. "To perfection," Mom added. Their glasses clinked. And my phone, hidden under the tablecloth, began to record. Because perfection photographs beautifully, until it speaks. When you've been humiliated long enough, revenge stops feeling like anger. It starts feeling like focus. 2 days after the wedding, I uploaded the photos. Every perfect image of Melanie, smiling beside Mom and Dad, included me in the background. My bruised cheek, faint but visible, catching the light like a secret they tried to bury. Then I wrote the caption. "When your parents toast to perfection, but you know what really happens behind closed doors." No hashtags. No names. Just enough truth to make the world curious. By morning, it had 40,000 likes. By night, it had 100,000. Mom called first. Her voice cracked between rage and fear. "Rachel, take it down. Do you know what you've done? People are calling." I smiled into the silence. "Good. Let them call." Dad's voice thundered in the background. "Ungrateful little, you've ruined her life." "No," I said calmly. "I just showed them ours." That's when I realized something. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the author. 3 hours later, a reporter messaged me privately. "If you're willing to talk, your story might help others." No names, just truth. I didn't answer. Not yet. Because this wasn't about the world knowing, it was about them knowing they'd lost control of the narrative. I went to bed early that night. The bruise on my cheek was fading, but the scar beneath it, the one they couldn't see, had never looked more alive. In the morning, Mom texted me again. This time, just 6 words. "You always ruin everything, don't you?" I stared at it for a long time. Then hit record. My voice, calm. Measured. Maybe it's time everything ruined me gets ruined back. I saved the file as clink_1. There would be 7 more. 1 for each glass that had clinked that night. I started with my father. He worked at a bank, polished reputation, clean suit, dirty soul. I'd grown up hearing him talk about discipline, about how mistakes had consequences. He used those words when I was 15 and came home crying from school. He used them again the night he cracked a glass on the table because I talked back. So I gave him discipline, my way. Every lie has a receipt, and I had all of them. I sent an anonymous tip, not to ruin him, but to reveal him. A bank manager, misplacing funds for a client. Small amounts, spread over years. I didn't even need to dig deep, I just reminded the right people where to look. The next week, he was suspended. The week after, pending investigation. Mom's calls turned frantic. Melanie's texts, pleading. "You've made your point, Rachel. Please stop." But they didn't understand, I wasn't making a point. I was balancing an equation. Glass 1 had clinked. 6 remained. The second glass was Mom's. She built her identity around appearances, charity events, church socials, perfect family posts. So I let her followers see the truth. One by one, I sent anonymous emails with recordings, her voice, cold and careless. She's just jealous of her sister. She always has been. Rachel's the reason we drink. I watched as sympathy turned to whispers, whispers to suspicion, and suspicion to silence. Her next Facebook post read, "Sometimes people twist your words." I smiled. Only when you give them something to twist. At night, I opened the file folder. 2 recordings done. 2 glasses shattered. And in the reflection of my laptop screen, I didn't look like the quiet daughter anymore. I looked like the storm they created. Melanie was the crown jewel, the one they built their entire empire of lies around. The daughter who did everything right. The one whose wedding was supposed to prove how perfect they were. But gold always cracks easiest when it's only painted on. She called me late one night. Her voice trembled between guilt and fear. "Rach, please, you're ruining us." I laughed softly. "You mean I'm telling the truth?" There was silence, long, heavy, breathing silence. Then she whispered, "You think I didn't know what they did? I told them not to, I told them it was wrong." That almost made me pity her. Almost. "But you still let them do it," I said. She didn't reply. Just quiet sobs on the other end of the line. Because guilt is louder when no one's left to forgive you. The next morning, I uploaded another clip, not of my parents this time, but of her. It was from the wedding day, caught on my phone, Melanie laughing as Mom dabbed foundation over my bruise. The camera caught her voice perfectly. "It's fine, Mom. She'll look better in the shadows anyway." I didn't caption it. Didn't need to. Within hours, it was everywhere, shared, reposted, dissected. The internet didn't know our names, but they knew our voices. "The perfect wedding with a rotten core," one headline read. Another, "Family secrets spill under fairy lights." I watched it unfold like slow-motion karma. The venue threatened to sue, the videographer refused to release the official footage, and Melanie's new husband deleted every wedding photo from social media. Mom called me that night, her voice raw from crying. "What do you want from us, Rachel?" I whispered back, reflection. Because that's what mirrors are for, not to admire yourself, but to see what you've become. I poured a drink that night. Just water, no champagne. Held it up to the light, watched it shimmer. 3 glasses shattered. 4 more to go. And this time, they'd be the ones bleeding. 2 months later, the Monroe family name was poison. Dad's investigation turned to indictment. Mom's charity sponsors pulled out. Melanie's husband filed for annulment. And me? I was silent. Peaceful. Patient. The final act had to feel like their own doing, poetic, clean, inevitable. I booked a dinner reservation at their favorite restaurant, the one they used to celebrate success. I told them I wanted to make peace. They arrived dressed like ghosts trying to look human, tired, pale, frightened. Mom's first words, "Are you recording this?" I smiled. "No. This part's for me." We sat in silence until the waiter poured their wine. The clink of crystal made me flinch, not from fear, but memory. Dad's voice was quiet now, humbled. "You've destroyed us." "No," I said gently. "I just let everyone see who you already were." He swallowed hard. Mom's eyes filled. We didn't mean to hurt you. We thought you'd ruin her day. I leaned in. You ruined your own lives trying to ruin mine. Then I pulled out 2 envelopes. Inside each, a printed copy of every article, every post, every truth that had spread like wildfire. I slid them across the table. This, I said, is your legacy. Their glasses trembled. Mine stayed still. They didn't touch their wine. But I did. I raised my glass, looked them both in the eye, and whispered. To family. And for the first time in years. No one clinked back. Weeks later, the noise faded. No calls. No headlines. Just quiet. Their house went up for sale. Mom moved in with an aunt. Dad pled guilty to fraud. Melanie stopped posting altogether. And me? I moved into a small apartment by the coast. A place with soft light, slow mornings, and no echoes. Some nights, I still hear it, the clink of glass. But it doesn't hurt anymore. It just reminds me how far I've come from the sound of their laughter. I started writing again, not revenge posts, but stories. Stories about women who survived the unthinkable, who stopped apologizing for existing. I don't use my real name anymore. I don't need to. Because the truth already did what it was meant to do. Last week, I received an email. No name, no subject, just one line. We're sorry. I stared at it, then deleted it. Some apologies come too late, and some bruises fade only after you stop waiting for them to be seen. I walked to my window, watched the sunset spill gold across the ocean, the same color as the dress my sister wore that day. For the first time, I didn't feel anger. Just release. Because revenge isn't destruction. It's freedom.